Live from Studio 5, this is NBC5 News Today.
See you. Well, up next, it's not just Barack Obama and John McCain on the ballot next Tuesday. If you vote in Chicago, there are more than 70 judges up for re-election.
A little confusing. So how do you know who to vote for? Well, help sort it all out coming up next.
Well, you've done all your research in the presidential election, but when you get to the voting booth, you might be surprised to find up to 70 different judges up for re-election in Chicago.
Well, Malcolm Rich from Chicago Appleseed Fund for Justice is here this morning with a little advice on how to make informed decisions. So a lot of people say that they're never going to go before a judge. Why should they even bother to vote? I have a girlfriend who shall remain nameless who says, I just vote for all the women.
Oh,
good idea, bad idea?
It's a bad idea.
And why is that?
Each of these judges make decisions that affect thousands and thousands of people. So even just one of these judges affect tens of thousands sometimes of people every year. And someday, maybe not tomorrow, maybe the next day, they're going to make a decision that will affect you.
And these 70 are what we call retention judges. Can you explain that?
Every time a judge is elected in Illinois, they have a 6-year term for the circuit judges and 10-year terms for the appellate and Supreme Court justices. So every 6 years, the voters have to go to the ballot, and that judge runs against herself or himself. So the question is, shall this judge be retained for another 6-year or 10-year term?
So how do we make an informed decision about the judges?
You know, the bar associations spend thousands of hours evaluating, and they don't do a very good job of getting the word out to the voters. That's why everyone always talks about, I wish I knew more about the judges. So Chicago Appleseed decided to put it all on one easy-to-use website, www.voteforjudges.org.
Who evaluates? Because there's a lot of information out there to evaluate some of these judges, Malcolm. There's information, you just got to find it.
There's a lot of information. There's 12 different groups that are evaluating judges just for this election. And the question is, what's the typical voter supposed to do with all of that information? Many of the bar associations don't agree with each other.
And very quickly, it's this proposed call for a constitutional convention that's also appearing on the ballot. Can you explain that?
Every 20 years, the voters are asked to say yes or no to the question, shall a constitutional convention be convened to essentially rewrite the Constitution of Illinois? If the yes vote wins, there will be a special election, and up to 116 delegates will be elected, and they will rewrite the Constitution of Illinois, and that will then go to the voters of Illinois for approval.
All right, Malcolm Rich from Chicago Appleseed Fund for Justice, sorting it all out. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Send it over to Andy.